the game Java, the game in. And I'm going to in this tutorial I'm going to teach you some of the basics of what you'll need to know about how to use the Eclipse editor, which is used for Java development, in this case game development. So let's get started. So I currently have the same project up, which is a Java game in progress right now, and I wanted to show you like how you would do different things on the account, for example. So as an example, we'll just basically create a new class just for purposes. Excuse me, we'll create a new project. So let's go down here to right here, project, and we can just call it anything we want. You want to select the kind of project, because it could be an Android or whatever, you know. Basically, I just go here to Java project, next, select the project name, test project, sounds good to me, or test Java project maybe. Yeah, that's better. You don't have to include it all like that. You can actually have spaces in it or whatever, and then you're going to basically, this is actually used for the Java versions. If you don't have the right versions installed, you can go in and you can change them. Currently I just leave it set to the defaults, unless of course you're going backward or forward. Currently I'm using, I think it's 1.7, and here's how you basically do other stuff with the project, like if you need to create a project folder for sources, class files, separate place to store that. Just leave that the way it is. You can click next here, and then here's where you're basically going to need to go ahead and set up all of your stuff for the account. Now currently I think I already have mine set up, but if you don't, you'll basically go over here to where it says add external jars. Oh, I'm sorry, not external, excuse me, add jars, and you'll select the class you want to use. In this case, ours is test Java project, but since it's already here, it's not going to let you do anything. But normally you would go here and you would add the jar file basically, and then jar files are just those that you download online. I'm saying jar files, I mean the SDK, excuse me. Well, essentially it's the jar file, I'm sorry. So these are all the list of the jars, and the jars are basically used to run the code and to get the classes and stuff to work correctly, and to access everything within the libraries and all that. This stuff I don't really use. You wanted to create a new source folder, you can do all that, but anyways, I'm going to click finish here, just for testing purposes. Now up here you notice I just created our new project on top of what we already have here. So next thing you'll want to do is you'll want to create basically what's known as a package. A package is basically a way of storing your, how do you say, your class files into separate places or separate folders, if you would, to know where that code's going to be. And it separates it. It's an easier way of separating it. It makes more sense because you have, in his example, game states, items, sounds, stuff like that. Because if you stick them all in one giant class, it can be really confusing trying to find stuff. So I just do that separately. So to do that, you just right-click on the source file, or the SRC, and you hit New, and you go into Package. And then here you're going to create the name of the package. We'll just call this main start or something. And you click Finish. And basically you don't see anything yet because you haven't created a class, but you can see the package is created right here. And of course if you look down here, you'll see the packages down here too as well. Next thing you want to do to get it started, you want to create a class. Just right click on it, hit New, and then you're going to select Class. In this case we can just select a class. This probably won't make any sense, but Java startup or something like that. So essentially you probably start with the main class. You can probably just do that, but I'm not really trying to create a project. I'm just showing you examples of how to use Eclipse. So main, this determines whether you want to have a static main. Most people like to start with the main method, especially if you're first learning Java. So let's just do that basically and finish. Okay, so now we have a main method as you might see it in a college classroom. So now you can actually go in here and you can actually run and utilize actual code. So one of the simplest ways of most people learning development is the hello world. And you just type it like that, and essentially that's it. So now you have a program stored, you have a project created with stored inside the package. Notice up here it tells you the package. I think if you hover over it, no, maybe not. basically you know that this is where class is going to be stored. It's stored a name, and you drop down here, you can see it's stored right there. So the next thing I want to do before I run this, I wanted to show you some other things you'll want to do. I wanted to go over some of these other menus, but I don't want to make this video too long. So you just go to Project. You're going to select Build All. You'll see a building here. So now if you look, I got some code running from the other stuff here. Let me just clear that. Let me just do that again. I think it was supposed to do something. Okay, no, it's good. Okay, so basically it would tell you down here if there were any errors, if there was any warnings or anything going on. The console's clean, so we know that there were no errors. Now, for example, if I just throw in an error here, you'll watch when I compile it. Even though you'll see it, the error up here. Let me fix that again. And I compile it, it should throw me an error. Maybe it didn't. Maybe I have to run it. It'll give you suggestions too when you hover over it. This is how you can fix some of the code. This tells you, like, these are some of the things it's trying to do. Is it trying to cast, which means you're trying to create like a method here or something. If not, then you're just basically want to correct the code line for it. Print line just prints on every other line. So now we can safely go ahead and run. You can run here, run as Java application. You run configuration, so I probably will go into more of this. This is setting up like your own jar files and stuff. So we'll just run it by clicking this green arrow button, and you should see the code, and there it is, hello world. So basically we created a simple demo just to show you the hello world, just to kind of start off this whole series. And I wanted to show you some of the menus here, and you can basically go here. You can actually, this typical stuff like you can print out your code and stuff like that. Here's other things you can do. You can switch your workspaces. Workspaces is where you're going to store all the files at. Mine's currently stored in my network. You can also use import and export. Import is really interesting. Import will allow you to take files that are already there from other maybe software projects and import them into your current project. But also export is used. I used export when I was trying to build my own applets and stuff like that. And this is just basically how you could create like a runnable jar file. A jar file could be used to run like a web server. If you wanted to create one here, you just go to next. And let me see, Java 2D game jar. Oh, I got to select you go down here and you select the right project. Yeah, I was trying to see if I forgot anything there, and it should create a, oh, it says right there it exists. Hold on, let's probably create a different name here. Oh, because I called this 2D game, so I'll just call this test Java or whatever. Test Java. And you finish it. And this is where it's going to appear at in this Java folder, Java under Java game. We could also rename this project, what is that, right, or something. It'll ask you probably to create a new folder if I recall. Yeah, right there, it doesn't exist, so it'll ask you to create it. Now, if you go to your folders here, down below, I have it mostly opened here already. It should be here already. As soon as I can remember what I called it. Oh, right there, project root. So this is your test jar file. So if we run this, it should run the code. But it's not going to show you anything here because you don't have like a window created or anything. But normally if you run this, it'll actually run the actual program. But you could actually, I think you basically could run this in a web server, but you'd need to basically go up here and type something like extends applet to run it in a web server. And if you want to import, just highlight over here. Now import is necessary too, because import will import in libraries that are not existing, and also import in your own classes and stuff like that that you create into the project. So now it's all included in. So it should create a, an applet. But I'm not going to do that anyway, but I just wanted to show that to you. And pretty much everything else is kind of standard. You can do searches. Oh, this one's interesting here. So if you want to, let's say we wanted to comment out like maybe a section of code. Here we wanted to comment out this line. I mean, we had like a bunch of lines. You can go up here to edit, or I'm sorry, where's it at? source, and click on add block comment, and it'll create a series of blocked comments. Now this comment is blocked out, so if you wanted to run something underneath it, you basically could. And now it'll basically just run your code instead, run a new line instead of running both lines. So that's some of the other tricks you can do. A lot of this other stuff is not really of any use to this project or anything. Not probably for beginners, if that is. You can clean a project if it starts getting messy after a while and you have like a bunch of files in it. It kind of organizes them. Sometimes if you get errors and you're trying to run a project, cleaning is good for that. These are for more probably advanced use. I won't go into a lot of it, but you can change perspectives of where you want things to run in environments and stuff like that, but I won't go into all that. And here's how you can access. I already have Android installed on mine, so you can access other things as well. But that's basically the gist of this tutorial I wanted to show you. I know it's very simple. That's basically how to use Eclipse. Like I said, you can go in here and you can add more classes, more projects, just more packages, just by going in here and we'll just say a package 2 or whatever you want to call it. Typically you might want to use like a .com. Most people use like a .com separator like that. If you have like your own domain name, you could do that too. But you can pretty much call it anything you want. So you can go in here and create a new class. And that's basically it. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this and look for more to come.